Hello, my name is Ryan Miller. I help prevent veteran suicide in the city of Berkeley and all over Northern California. And I'd like to cede my time to Alexander Felix.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Alex. The leading member of Decriminalize Nature at Berkeley and the founder of Berkeley Entheogenic Society. And I'm here to speak on item number 54. First of all, thank you all for being here today and tuning in on your television or computer or a particular media device. Tonight marks an incredible moment in the story of Berkeley, Alameda County, and indeed the world. The movement to decriminalize nature has a cultural, spiritual, and scientific importance which truly cannot be overstated. All turning points in the collective story of our human existence have birthed singular representative figures to shine the light of progress for all the world to see. And so it is my great pleasure and honor to introduce the shining light, the hero of our movement, the great voice of decriminalized nature. Ladies, gentlemen, non-binary people of every classification, please give a warm Berkeley welcome to the tireless advocate, fearless activist, and true friend, coming all the way from the mountains of Jalisco, Mexico, to speak on behalf of the ancient Huirrárica people, 2019 Nobel Peace Prize nominee. Please welcome Susanna Velez.
Good evening, everyone. It's an honor for me to be here to address this council. My philosophy is think globally, act locally. Berkeley's been a home to me and my family. It's been my northern base of operations while working over the last 40 years in Mexico with the endangered Huirrárica, also known as the Huichol culture. And we're all the culture, my organization and I, are all nominees for the Nobel Peace Prize this year because of the important message that the Huirrárica people have to the world. And that is specifically that the plants have a voice, and the voice want to speak to us. The voice of the sacred plants that are used in ceremony under the guidance of the curanderos and the medicine people bring transformation to people's lives. They're a mirror that help people look inside their soul and see who they really are and what their mission and obligations are while being alive. And the plants teach them to venerate the elders and to venerate their lives and have respect for nature. There's no war against nature in the Huirrárica culture. They only venerate nature, and they consider themselves the stewards of all the forces of nature. They, more than anybody else, know that the food isn't made in the back room of the supermarket. And
my name is Jeff Crowe, and I cede my time to Susanna Velez.
So now we're at a tipping point. I'm here to represent the Huirrárica people and their fight for survival as an ancient tribe in the modern world. And the reason that they've been able to survive in a crack in the world in the most harsh environment that you can ever imagine in the mountains of Mexico is because of their communication and their stewardship of the natural forces that they've learned to appreciate as they bond with the plants, and they receive the messages from the plants. They know which plants will heal infertility or cancer or alcoholism. There's so much indigenous knowledge that's on the tipping point right now of being lost to humanity forever because the plants are in danger. My friends, the Amazon is burning right now, and the displaced indigenous peoples, their cultures aren't just going to pop back. Their sacred venerated plant ayahuasca is going to disappear from so many regions, but it's not just the plants, it's the knowledge that the people have garnered from the use of these plants for centuries. So I'm here to advocate not for what word did you use, Congresswoman Hahn?
Not Congresswoman, Councilwoman.
Sorry, I'm thinking of the future.
Deprioritization, and thank you.
All right. I don't go for the deprioritization. I go for the decriminalization. It makes absolutely no sense for humanity to be bound, for our liberty to explore our souls and to be transformed by the power of these plant messengers. So why people are sitting in jail cells for having mushrooms or for going to an ayahuasca ceremony or using the peyote in a sacred ritual or for healing, that's crazy. And we got to get out of the dark ages with this. These Schedule I classifications of these entheogenic plants was wrong then, and it's wrong now. And Berkeley is always the cutting edge of consciousness of the United States, and this is your big chance to move this agenda forward to city after city, and eventually, like I said, think globally, act locally. Let's start here. It's time for you all to spearhead this movement and unanimously vote for the decriminalization with certain contingencies that you mentioned. We're not talking about recreational use. We're talking about spiritual transformative healing uses of these plants that have never been explored, and you can't even do scientific experiments. There's one person in the United States who has the freedom to do experimentation with these plants. So
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, next speaker, please. Let's keep public comment going. We have a long line of speakers.
Hello, my name is Julie Megler. I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and I run a local business here in Berkeley called Sage Integrative Health, which is a mental health center here that does both Western medical treatments as well as holistic care, and is focusing on psychedelic-assisted therapies as they're legal within the clinical context. I've also spent the last 10 years speaking in public forums across the country to educate people about safe practices of psychedelics and plant medicines. As you've probably read in the media, psychedelics are capable of medical and psychospiritual healing. However, they continue to be stigmatized. One of my passions is about helping educate the world and unravel the stigma around psychedelics. The way to ensure safe practices, reduce risk, and increase benefits with these substances is by being able to educate and talk openly about them. The stigma and criminalization leads to people using them illegally and in unsafe settings. Psychedelics actually have a relatively high safety profile with minimal risk when used in the general population. Like anything in life, when people are educated about the safe practices and how to seek out safe environments, these things can be used for greater good, such as, for instance, sex and discussing it with teenagers. The clinic I run, as I mentioned, uses psychedelics legally, currently with ketamine, which is not a plant-based medicine. I'm really involved in kind of both worlds, both the clinical access as well as broader general population. And as a licensed clinician, I believe that evidence-based medicine is an important standard. However, the clinical model can also be limiting. One of the things that we're learning at SAGE, for instance, is that ketamine-assisted therapy has limited reimbursability by insurance companies at this time. So few people can actually afford to access this treatment. Okay. So I believe that natural plants offer an incredible healing opportunity, and when used in the community setting, provide a low-risk opportunity for more people to gain access to certain types of healing. I'll continue to give workshops and educate the public the best that I can as a part of my own public services, if this is something that the council approves of. As I would like to be able to have everybody gain access, both within clinical care as well as the broader public. So thank you very much.
Hi, my name is James Keim. I'm a licensed social worker, and I'm co-author of the book, The Violence of Men. I used to run a small conference series that was hosted at National Institutes of Health, and I've been involved in various discussions there related to collaborations with pharmaceutical industries. An example of how important these natural medicines are is what's happening with psilocybin. It's been given breakthrough therapy status by the FDA. To get that status, it has to not only meet really high safety criteria, it has to have evidence showing that it's actually better than existing therapeutics. There are a host of natural medicines that therapists so very much want to be able to make use of.
Thank you, sir. Unless a minute's yielded to the speaker. Okay, thank you. So you have another minute.
All right, thanks. And at this point, we would love to avail these medicines, to make these medicines available to the people of Berkeley. At this point, I have to refer people outside the city, which is ridiculous, because not only should we be able to treat our population here, we should be at the forefront of this effort. We have fantastic, dedicated medical and mental health professionals who are very covertly using these medicines. And we need your help in being able to stick our heads up and saying, this is what we're doing, help us research, and help us provide these benefits to the people of Berkeley. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. So I say I appreciate everyone coming out tonight to speak about this item, and I just want to reiterate, it's on the consent calendar. So we are going to be moving it forward, and so we appreciate the testimony, but I just want everyone to be aware that it is on the consent calendar, and we will be moving ahead with it. Thank you.
Good evening, council members, Mayor Ada Green, and people of Berkeley. My name is Danielle Megan. I'm the executive director of San Francisco Psychedelic Society, the largest nonprofit psychedelic society dedicated to the entheogenic community in the United States. We provide community education, integration, and support. I discovered the incredible healing power of entheogens when they helped me overcome my addiction. For 12 years, just like 60 million of my fellow Americans, I found myself dependent on psychiatric pharmaceuticals. Thanks to a litany of over 100 prescribed medications, I was also addicted to opiates and was put on over 15 medications just to get off them. This did not work. Fortunately, I was able to eventually recover, not because of any pharmaceutical prescribed by a conventional physician. I was finally able to heal from 12 years of physiological dependence thanks to a series of intensely spiritual entheogenic journeys with ayahuasca, psilocybin mushrooms, and entheogenic cactus. In my most hopeless moments, when the conventional wisdom of pharmaceutical-style medicine would have left me for dead, I was given a new chance at life thanks to spiritual medicine and the indigenous peoples of our world. This healing journey led me to many profound realizations about the nature of health and healing, and I became fascinated with the world of sacred plant medicine. I discovered that iboga, a plant currently on FDA's Schedule I list, is the most effective known treatment for every addiction, from opiates, like the ones I was prescribed, to cocaine to alcohol. The powerful potential of these sacred plants to heal our communities and change our world led me to devote much of my life to helping others benefit from these incredible, natural, spiritual healing plants and fungi. Not only are entheogenic plants and fungi powerful spiritual healers, they're also non-addictive and even help people break addiction. And there's much evidence to suggest that they can effectively treat conditions such as chronic depression and anxiety, and possibly even conditions with no currently accepted treatments such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. As a human being, it is our birthright to enjoy a healthy relationship to the natural world. Entheogenic plants and fungi help to reconnect you to your true nature as a child of Mother Earth. The opposite of addiction is connection. Let's bring more connection, inclusion, and diversity into the great city of Berkeley. Let's put our energy into helping, healing, and connection. In June of this year, Oakland City Council voted unanimously in favor of decriminalization. Since then, our support groups and integration circles have doubled in size, and we have wait lists at every circle. There is a demand for education and support in our community, and we are committed to expanding these support groups into the city of Berkeley to educate and support the Berkeley community once this measure passes. Decriminalization will disproportionately benefit African Americans and other marginalized communities, many of whom come from cultures with thousands of years of traditional practice with entheogenic plants and fungi, and are much more likely to be stopped, followed, and targeted by police. As a result, access to the spiritual and healing benefits of natural entheogens has become a privilege of groups and people of more comfortable economic and social strata. Decriminalization empowers you, the people of Berkeley, to seek out information without having to hide your intentions. The tools for risk reduction already exist, and decriminalization enables these tools to be more accessible and utilized effectively. I look forward to walking this path together as Berkeley and a continually growing number of cities in the San Francisco Bay Area join Oakland in decriminalizing nature. As one people, one community, we will work together to heal and to embrace a new paradigm where the spiritual and sacred traditions of entheogenic plants and fungi are revered and our own connection to the natural world is respected. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, everyone, for seeing this very important message, and thank you, Councilmember Robinson, for bringing us to the table as well and your leadership on this. My name is Larry Norris. I'm a resident in Berkeley District 1. I studied cognitive psychology at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, and I'm currently a PhD candidate at the California Institute of Integral Studies in San Francisco, studying my dissertation on transformative ayahuasca experiences. I'm also the co-founder and executive director of Entheogenic Research, Integration, and Education, which is a 501c3 nonprofit located in the East Bay right now. We've been doing this about 8 years, hosting integration circles and education events, and we've been focusing on the East Bay for the last 4. What we've noticed over the years of hosting peer integration circles is a diversity of participants who are already exploring the potentials of entheogens. People who are seeking community to avoid the feeling of isolation that can emerge from a profound experience that is both stigmatized and criminalized. While some are integrating recreational experiences, the vast majority of individuals are approaching these experiences as sacred and with the intention of healing. In our last circle, for example, folks range from about 30 years old to their mid-70s. These aren't kids fooling around trying to get high. This is serious work for them. Some say a single entheogenic experience is worth hundreds of therapy sessions, and yet these treatments won't be available for at least another 5 to 10 years for approval and implementation by the FDA if they fit the inclusion criteria. Most don't have that long to wait. Decriminalization is a risk reduction strategy to make sure those with potentially transformative or even challenging experiences can safely access their community and information they need to support their process. I'm also the co-founder and board member of Decriminalize Nature, which just passed a resolution in Oakland on June 4th. During the crafting of the Oakland document, we paid special attention to the issue of fundamental human rights. It is an inalienable right to develop our own relationship to nature. This is a relationship that has been cultivated by all of our ancestors, and after a long history of colonization and industrialization has been severed for most of us. We need to connect to the environment now more than ever, and studies show that entheogenic experiences can help steward that transformation. In addition, the First Amendment guarantees freedoms including religion and expression. How can we have freedom of religion when entheogenic plants which catalyze spiritual and mystical experiences are prohibited? How can we have freedom of expression when we are prohibited from certain types of thought? Berkeley has the chance to be the first in the nation to stand united with Oakland as this national conversation emerges. This is an opportunity to heal communities and share resources as we emerge into this new paradigm. Berkeley can highlight its strong history of social advocacy by not only decriminalizing entheogenic plants and fungus as a fundamental human rights issue, but also by ensuring there's a path toward equitable access for disenfranchised communities. To partner with Oakland during this time of change and is the allyship the rest of the nation needs to see in order to heal. And the movement is happening quickly. There's no doubt that decriminalized nature is becoming a national conversation. Since Oakland passed the resolution unanimously, communities in over 100 cities and over 30 states have reached out to replicate this resolution. Some examples: Santa Cruz, San Francisco, West Sacramento, Port Townsend, Washington, Chicago, Illinois, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Ann Arbor, Michigan. Ann Arbor, Michigan. I hope they don't beat you guys, right? So who are all actively mobilizing their community and speaking with their city council. The Santa Cruz community recently informed us that they may be able to hold their final vote by mid-October, just a little bit away. Port Townsend isn't far behind, but everyone has their eyes on Berkeley. Will Berkeley be the first to take this important stand with Oakland in the movement to decriminalize entheogenic plants and fungi, to bring attention to equitable access, fundamental human rights issues, and righting our relationship with nature as this environmental crisis looms before us? Nature is offering us a way out. Are we going to heed her call? And also just real quick on Councilmember Han's discussion around deprioritization. I just want to touch on deprioritization can also lead to confusion within law enforcement because they're not really sure where the priorities are. So also the extraction of the funding is part of the decriminalization, so that would make it de facto decriminalization as far as I understand. So great. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.